Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another IP Tut. Today we will be going over the sheer fact of creating this here sniper scope effect. It's actually really simple, per se. I mean, there's a few ways you can do it. You can do it, in camera, in post, or in camera again as well. And I'll kind of go over all three ways. First, I'm gonna show you how I did it. Then I'm gonna show you how you could do it, and then I'm gonna show you how most people probably will do it. Either way, there will be downloadable crosshairs for you guys to have. When this video itself airs, probably June 3rd or June 4th of 2012, they're not going to be there because I still want to create more. Right now I have about 4, as you can see over here. If not, then you'll see them here in a minute. 4 or 5 of them, but I want to give you guys at least 10. That way it gives you guys a wide variety of different kinds of crosshairs for different kinds of rifles. Alright, so here, let's go ahead and get started on this. Alright, so the first way, the way I did it, is actually fairly simple actually. When I bought my camera, it came with a Vivitar telephoto lens. Alright, now it's not an actual lens, it's more of a lens converter or adapter, if you will. And it sits on the end of your lens, and you're able to when you zoom your lens out, okay, it times that magnification by 2, so you're able to zoom in a little bit more. And so I mean, it's definitely handy and whatnot, but I was messing around with it, and then I realized that if I zoomed it all the way out, I was able to see, let me make this bigger for you guys, I was able to see these edges here, and it looked just like a sniper scope, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a whirl, you know. I mean, it definitely gives it this authentic feel to it. And so I was like, alright, so we went ahead, we started shooting, and I had David, he walks out the house, and on my camera itself, it there's a focus, or the autofocus square, or actually, well, no, because I have the magic lantern plug-in thing for my camera, so it actually gives me a little blue crosshair with the bars and the widescreen crop overlay things. Anyways though, so I was able to use that as my crosshairs for this. So then we just have David walking, he's just kind of chilling, walking. Let me see if I can render this out for you guys really quick in full time as I speak. So I was able to get him and put him in the crosshairs and use it as an actual crosshair, because it's pretty much in the middle of the screen itself anyways. But once again, this is just a converter by Vivitar, the 2.2x professional lens or telephoto lens converter. And like I was saying, you can see him walking, center of the screen. I know where I'm gonna hit him. Boom. We just kind of timed it right. Did a few takes, just to make sure we were okay, and that's that. So that's the way I did it. Then I went ahead and I came inside. Well, I was actually creating these things from the beginning before I even did the effect. I was creating crosshairs, and that's probably my favorite one. I haven't named it yet, but I will before I go ahead and give it to you guys. But we have the I don't know, the Dragunov Fisk one here. We'll go ahead and use that one now, or we can use the European style. Here we go. We'll go with the European style. I think that's what my friend called it. Anyways though, as you can see, it lines up really nice. You can see right here, I wanted to shoot him right above the head, or right above the ear, to maximize the damage, and that's exactly what happened, because I was able to line it up with what was on my LCD screen at that time. And after that, it's actually really simple. So with having that converter on the end of the lens itself, we already have the scope effect. It gives us the actual and real lighting here, so as I'm moving, you can see the light shifts around the edge of the lens, just like it would be if you were looking through an actual scope. And there's good things and bad things about this part. The good thing is it adds a little bit of realism. Even around this edge here, you can see some distortion from it being an actual lens, because that's exactly what a sniper scope is. It's a lens. So there's definitely this actual distortion around the ring here. The light shifts with the actual sun that is on this side. As you can see, as I go from right to left, the light moves to this side, so it adds a bit of realism to it, and that really sells the effect. Okay, so doing it this way, you're able to go ahead, and the scope itself is already done. Now we got to worry about the crosshairs. I went ahead and designed the crosshairs themselves inside of Illustrator. As you can see, these files here, I will save them out for you guys as PNGs though. That way you don't have to worry about it. I'll probably size them up. That way you guys can at least just size them down and be able to use them without having to worry about them pixelating, because if they're too small and you scale them up, then they will pixelate. So I'll probably make them bigger for you guys. But let's see. So this is probably my favorite one, and this is one I actually use for the video itself. Something I just kind of came up with. Haven't really named it yet. Kind of got it from the Call of Duty ACOG scope a little bit in this area. But anyways, we're not going to go over the whole idea of them all just yet. Maybe in another video. So we're able to do that. Here, let's pick a different one. So on this one here, let me go ahead and solo that really quick. I want to show you that on this one there's a ring that you're able to then scale up and down to meet the size of the actual ring here. Okay, that way you can kind of know what you're doing. And then it pretty much sits well. I mean, it's all centered, so depending on how you place it, you can even move it over left or right. I actually think I had to here a little bit. Where's my position at? Yeah, it's not directly in the center, the left and right. It is on for the x-axis, but the y it's not. It's actually pushed over to the left. We can see it here just a little bit. For some reason it didn't line up, but a little nudge, you know, a few pixels left or right, it's not going to make a difference. And then so we go from that, we get our ring blur. Okay, now what this does is this adds a little bit more of that distortion I was talking about on the edges. As you can see here, watch. You see, you can really see it here because of the sun and the wood here. So watch, that's on, that's off, that's on, that's off. And so what it does is, here, let me go and preview this. It gives it more of a realistic, once again, that little distortion around the edge of the lens. That gives it a little bit more realism. It doesn't really happen so much, not this much as it does here in real life, but it definitely calls attention to it to give you this, oh, well, if I was looking through a scope, that's how it really would be. Depends, but I went ahead and put it in there. So we have that, and all that is actually, that's just, let me go over that with you really quick. That's a adjustment layer, okay, placed over the original footage. So the original footage isn't affected, but it's an adjustment layer, okay, with the radial blur on it. Okay, and then the adjustment layer itself has two masks. Let me go and turn the mask on for you guys really quick. One mask is set to add, the second mask is set to subtract. And what that does is it gives you a ring. Here, watch this. Let's go ahead and add something else to it, just so you can see the difference between it. Color correction, let's go with the tint. Okay, I'm gonna tint it red just so it's easier to see. Turn that off for you. Turn this on. Okay, so what this is it's just a mask and another mask creating a ring like effect. Alright, the first mask is set to the expansion of 6 pixels. That's only because once I made the actual circle, let me get in there, it was too it wasn't close enough, but the expansion really doesn't matter. If you get the ring close enough to the footage itself, then you'll be fine. But for me, I just expanded it a bit and I'm set. And this is for, once again, for the ring blur here. And then for the second mask, it's pretty much the same thing. This one's set to subtract, to take out the center of it. Okay, and then you just set a feather distance It's going to be different for you. I mean, if you wanted it to be extreme, you can even have it about here, okay, and then turn on that radio blur, and pretty much the only thing that will be in focus per se will be directly over the crosshair, and that I think that would be a really cool way of displaying this effect itself. You can use a tint to kind of gauge where you're at as far as a blur too. So that's another neat little trick that I use to gauge effects. You can see the fall off, and it gives you an actual live demonstration of where it's going. So there's a little hint. Let's see. So after the ring blur, let's go and turn that tint off really quick. After the ring blur, we have all that, and that's actually basically it. After the crosshair, not that one. Let's go with this one. After the crosshair, I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll just use the red one. Here we go. After the ring blur and the actual footage, that's it. So that's that part. Okay, I will also be showing you guys how to do the night vision part as well here in a second. Give me a minute. So that's one way, and that's the way I did it basically. Real simple, real easy. Not much to it. Another way of doing it is taking maybe construction paper or let's see what else, some cardboard or something, painting it black or getting some black construction paper or something, and just wrapping around your lens. That way, once again, you'll get more of the actual effect, rather than it just being straight in post and just straight black, which I will get to that part as well. So you can, fake it in post, if you will, and just get some paper wrap around the lens and do exactly what we just did to create the sniper scope effect. Or you can do it straight in post. And let's go ahead and go over that way really quick as well. So what we'll do is in this one, well, before we get on that one, I'm going to go over the cons of this. The cons, the pros is definitely not having to do very much work in post. Okay, I shot it in 3 minutes, edited it in 10, give or take. My crosshairs were already made when I came home from shooting or whatever the case may be. So I just plopped it in, lined it up, did the effects, and that was it. Nothing too hard about that. The cons is if you mess up, or if there's something you want to do, if you don't get it just centered, then you can't really fake it. Okay, because you can't move this frame while keeping this scope here. You see what I'm saying? The scope itself is all built into one frame. So if he's not centered, like directly in the crosshairs, then you're gonna have a problem because you can't move the frame itself. Let's say we wanted to shoot him in the temple, we couldn't move the frame because of the fact that now we have this. And then even symmetrically looking at it, okay, I mean, we could probably black it out, or maybe even just duplicate this half and just move it over, okay. But all in all, just looking at it, it will look like there's more room on this side of the scope than it is on this side. So there's definitely something you want to be aware of, and that's kind of a con to this whole thing. Definitely makes it a little harder to fix it. As way as the second one, when you wrap the construction paper around it, if you do happen to do it that way, then you want to definitely make sure that if you can get all this side to be blurry, that way it doesn't actually look like construction paper or cardboard, then do so. You can probably just put an adjustment layer over that as well and just blur it out. No big deal. Let's see. Okay, so the third and final way is the way most people probably will do it, and that is simply creating a black solid, putting a circle in it, masking it out, and calling it good. Here, let's go ahead and do that really quick as well. Let's see, where's that footage without the scope on it? Here we go. So here we go. We have David here once again. Just this. Give me 1 second. Let me scale this down for you really quick. Okay, I film it in 1080 and then I size it down to 720 in the comp. That way, if I need to get some more framing, I can simply by scaling it up, possibly getting some zoom going. No big deal. Another little tip: I always film in 1080. So anyways, though, we have David, and once again, I'm able to use my fake crosshairs to do this. Let me get this. Let me get this. This time in this take, I actually got him on the temple. As you can see, this is where my crosshairs on my LCD screen is. And boom. Okay, so how we would do this is simply by going layer, and we would just go new solid or control Y. Obviously we want it to be straight dead black at this time. We can definitely change it later. Okay, and then you would go up here, create a mask, ellipse mask, whatever, you know, the ellipse tool. Oopsie. And then we can go ahead and zoom in. Put our cursor over here. Now we're going to start creating our circle, but what we're going to do is hold control and shift. Control centers it, and it makes it in the center, and then shift makes it even. So now it's not distorting when I pull that out. You hold shift and it's straight even. And we'll just go ahead, and I zoomed in a lot just so I can get to that center point, and we'll just go out to about here. I'll just drag it all the way down, see where we're at. Not enough, that's fine. So what we'll go ahead and do is grab our mask. Let's see, you can either expand it in this form like this, which isn't hard at all, you know, it still gives you an even expansion outside. Switch it to subtract, and bam, now you get your scope effect already. And this way is cool because now you can determine on how much of a scope you actually want to see. See, like here we can, the circle itself is really big, and that's basically it as far as that, because then at this point you would then just simply toss in one of my handy dandy crosshairs like such. Let's see, where's that expansion at? There we go, perfect. So we just go ahead and bring it in. Okay, that's over the top. We can go ahead and put this black layer over the top of the actual footage itself, over the, you know, the scope layer. Let's go with scope layer, since the other scopes itself is built into the actual shot. We're not going to get confused. Let's go ahead and save it as well. Turn off the mask. This is how you can turn on and off your mask outlines here, just in case you didn't know. And now you can see that, bam, we're pretty much already done just after those first two steps. Let's say that's too much. Let's say that's giving us too much of the outside. Then we can just go ahead and once again go down to the expansion, lower it down, and then we can go over here to our crosshair layer, hit scale, and then we can go ahead and scale that down as well. And that's definitely a plus because it gives us control, over what we want to do, not what we have to do. Alright, let's see, did I make a mask? No, okay, go perfect. Let's see. Alright, so as you can see, that's definitely the way of doing it. But the problem with this way, I don't like it because of the fact that it doesn't give you that realistic. But if you can't achieve you know, the in-camera way, then this will definitely suffice. Also, really quick, you're probably looking at this going, why is that so ugly? As far as that, you know, it looking gray and dirty. And the reason for that actually is because I add a grain to it. Because if I didn't, then it wouldn't look realistic. Because the footage itself is pixelated, okay? And there's noise going on with the camera and stuff like that. But if I was to leave that out, then it would definitely, it wouldn't look real or match with all this other footage. So if I were you guys, you know, doing the footage with any CG element, you want to add grain to it. It gives it more of that blend in feel to it. That's another secret that most people don't realize they should do when combining CG elements with live action footage, is they'll put in their vector art or whatever the case may be, without actually adding the grain that would actually be there if it was filmed through the scope itself. Like even with this black part here, you would get a lot of noise because it's straight black, and so the camera is trying to catch all the light it can, and it's creating it to be a lot grainier. So if you were to do that, then you would probably want to add the grain. But you can't really see it here. You kind of can. I don't know if you can see it online or not. Probably not. But like I said, you would definitely want to add the grain to any CG element, especially if your footage itself, you can see here that my footage is kind of grainy. Now, as far as this method is concerned, we're going to go over the pros and cons of this. The pros being, let's say we shot this and we realize that we don't want to hit him in the temple. We want to put him back, put the crosshairs back on his ears. Well, we don't have to create or move anything besides the actual footage layer. Okay, because now all we just grab the footage and we move it, because now it's exactly where we want it to be, simply by moving it. And then you can even keyframe it to move exactly where you want it to go. So now we're going here and we're like right above the ear, you know, kill him, boom. And since this circle right here is all we see, we have so much wiggle room to control this. So you can go ahead and set keyframes and position it to make it look like we're giving them some lead, or, you know, we're dragging behind a bit. It's a little shaky. You know, we don't really know what's going on. You know, we're nervous. He's moving, and then boom. And then you can just time it exactly where you want it to go. So that's definitely a pro to doing it this way. You know, it's a plus. Bad thing about doing it this way is the scope here doesn't really look realistic. There's no real light movement that gives you, oh, you know, it's an actual scope we're looking through. It looks just like how, you know, what we did. We took a black solid, put it over the top, put a hole in it, and threw a crosshair over it and said it was a scope. Now, you can go ahead and try to design the inside of a scope, just like they do in video games most of the time. It's just, you know, looking like the inside of a scope, taking a picture of it, and then just cropping out the circle, which is another way of doing it. You know, you can probably take the footage, because I'll go ahead and give you guys the footage as well, so you can go ahead and use it and practice it, just like how I did with the other downloads, and you'll be set and ready to go. We're already running up on a few minutes here, so that's pretty much where we're at. Don't forget to subscribe and rate, comment, you know, tweet this out. Check out the Facebook fan page, Inconsistent Pictures. Hit me up on Twitter at IncomPics. You should see the links and stuff in the top right hand corner. Like I said, there will be a download for this. If it's not in there when this comes up, it probably won't be. When I do post this, the download won't be there. But go ahead and like the fan page, because I will let you guys know as soon as it is available. Don't forget to subscribe. Like I said, there's going to be a lot more stuff coming, as well as more downloads for you guys to be able to use. And if you have any questions, don't forget to ask. I will answer them. I know this is a little longer than usual. Hopefully I answered all your questions. But yeah, thank you for watching. You guys are great, awesome, and you guys take care. I'm Phil. I'm out.